What's going on, everybody? This video is about how to use the laser cutter here at Stafford's Engineering Lab. So, a couple things to start with right off the bat. If you are nearing a final prototype, this is definitely what you want to be using. It's going to give you a much straighter cut than anything you can do by hand. Also, if you're looking to make something decorative or possibly a game board or something along those lines, it's going to look much more professional and cleaner. You are not going to be able to make any hand cuts as good as this thing is. So make a design in Adobe Illustrator and make it look nice here using our laser. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Adobe Illustrator works. All right, so as you get to your desktop, again, the same way that you found Fusion or the same way that you found any software, let's head on over to our search bar down here. Now you can get there one of two ways. You can either A, click through the Adobe Creative Cloud, which is where you're going to find any of the Adobe softwares we have available, or you should be able to type in Adobe and then everything will pop in that uses that. And so I'm going to go ahead and click here, Adobe Illustrator 2025. And so once your screen pops up, you'll see that you've got all the work that you've done here in the past. If you're just getting started, obviously this will be blank. But to make a new file, we'll come on over here, obviously, to this blue tab, click New File, and then it's going to give you a new document tool base here. So first thing I would do is make sure that you've changed these two values, the width and the height, to 24 inches and 12 inches. I would suggest working in inches, but if you'd like to work in metric, that's your choice. Now, the reason we choose 24 and 12 is because that is what the size of our workspace is on the inside of our laser. Now, another thing that you want to make sure that you've got selected is that we're using RGB color. The RGB color is how this computer is going to communicate with the laser. The laser cutter is different from the 3D printer, which uses something called G-code. The laser cutter acts much like a regular paper printer, and it communicates how strong the laser is going to be using these color codes, and you need those to be red, green, blue, or RGB color, which is an old-fashioned but still useful setup. So let's click Create. And as you see, I'm not going to go through all of this toolbar here. That's something that you can discover for yourself. I'm sure you can find YouTube videos or use Gemini to help you. But a couple things that I would suggest you use would be the ruler, which is going to pop up top here and tell you where you're on your workspace. Also, the grid can help as well, right? This makes it a bit more engineering based. Adobe Illustrator is often used as a artistic software, but for us, we kind of like this to remain a bit more engineering focused, don't we? So I would always consider to toggle on your ruler and on your grid, and you've got some snap options as well if you'd like. This is completely up to you. I'm just showing you that these are definitely things that you want to get started with. Okay, so let's say that you've taken your time and you've drawn up a design here. I'm going to go ahead and just open one that I've made in the past. And I was working on one for a bottom layer fill. And notice that I've got these vector images down here that I want to have in my file. So I'm going to go ahead and just click one for now and just focus here. I'm going to zoom in on this location. And in order to get this to cut, need to do a couple of special things. First of all, if I want these to cut out, I need the stroke to be RGB red, okay? So we've got RGB red here, but the best way to guarantee that you're gonna get the color that you want is come down here to this Swatch Libraries menu. And you're going to go into Default Swatches and Art and Illustration. And you'll notice if I click here on RGB Red and also click up here and then Add to Swatches, that is going to now be an option here on my stroke color. you'll notice down here on the bottom middle where it now says RGB red. That is what I'm looking for the stroke to be if I want it to cut. So I'll click that one. And if I don't want the fill to be anything and I just want it to be plain acrylic or plain wood, I don't want any fill at all. And so what that's gonna do is cut out the red shape, okay? But let's say I wanted to laser engrave it as opposed to cut it. In that case, I'm gonna need RGB blue. And so I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna go with my swatch library, come on down to default swatches, art and illustration, hover over my RGB blue, select and add to swatches. And once I click that, now I have the ability to choose RGB blue for a fill or for a stroke. Quick little time-saving tool. You can always click this little toggle here and it will switch your colors for you. Because that's just a very common event that's going to happen while you're making designs here. Last thing you want to have happen, in order for the laser to communicate with the computer, you need to make sure your font is actually 0.001 point font. And when I click enter here, it's going to look very thin, but rest assured that is in fact what it needs to be. So if I make this fill if I get rid of my fill, you'll notice that there's a very small thin layer here, but that is what we need our computer to communicate with the laser cutter. All right, so let's pretend that I'm done now. I've gotten what I want. Obviously, you're gonna take a lot longer to make a design, but in order, let's say that I'm done, this is what I wanted to be cutting into a piece of wood. I need to now export this, much the same way that I would export something onto a USB drive for a 3D print. So I'm gonna come on up here to File, scroll down to Export, and then we'll export as. And you can leave this right as an SVG file. And notice I have the layer called bottom layer Wolf Island. Now here's where you have to be careful. Make sure that you're storing this where you actually want it to arrive. So I'm gonna go ahead, click onto my layers or my laser cuts here, and I'm gonna save bottom layer Wolf Island right here. And I would go to 3 decimal points here. Most of this you won't have to change. The decimal points are just going to give it a little bit more accuracy. So if this says 2, maybe raise that to 3 and it'll make it a little bit more intricate. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and pop my file onto a USB stick, and then we'll bring it on over to the computer that runs the laser cutter. And all I'm doing here is I'm clicking and dragging the file from my computer onto the USB stick. All right, and so once I have that file transferred over to the USB, I'm gonna eject it. And let's head on over to the computer and get this thing loaded up. Now, I apologize that I can't get this thing on a screen recording, but this computer is a little bit older and so I can't use the same software. Now, I'm gonna go into Adobe Illustrator here, and remember, I already have it open because I had planned on using it, but remember, you can just use your search bar down here to find it. So I'm gonna go ahead up here to File. Let me get you a little bit closer. Open, find the USB drive, and then find the file you were looking for. And so I was looking for bottom layer Wolf Island, and there it goes. It's now popped open. And now I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that all of my colors are correct the way I want them. And I'm not gonna actually cut this, so I'm not gonna take the time to do that in this video. But once you have all of the colors the way that you want them, you're gonna go ahead and, just like you would print a piece of paper, press Control P, and you'll notice that this dialog box pops up. Once this dialog box pops up, Make sure that the printer is selected at VLS 3.5/60DT. That's our desktop laser cutter. And click print. And you'll notice nothing happens. That's because down here on the bottom right-hand side of the screen in your toolbox, just go ahead and expand that and find this red rectangle that's called Universal Laser Systems Control Panel. And then you'll find your workpiece right here located in this file. And now, notice that we've got a ruler up top and another vertical ruler here along the side. The best way to do this is to turn the laser on and double check where this is actually going to laser on your workpiece. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to load up a workpiece here. Could be anything, could be birch, could be acrylic, could even be cardboard or MDF. So I'm going to place my workpiece in, and I can come to my work panel here, and you can select, in order to move this laser around, you can select on the middle selection tool here something called Focus View. It's tough to see, I know, but you'll be able to find it when you experiment yourself. Click on that, and when you click on the screen, you'll notice that when you select an area in the workspace on the screen, the laser will move to that location. So I'll click here, and then you'll notice there's a laser that moves into that area. And so you want to go ahead and just click around the workpiece itself, right? So if I wanted to click here, that's the bottom left extremity. And I'm just outlining my work here and making sure that it fits onto the piece of wood or piece of acrylic that I actually want to have laser cut here. So I'm not going to go through that whole thing, as it takes a little time and a little bit of engineering, but what I do want to make sure we cover is that, let's say that you've got your piece all set up and ready to go. You're going to go to Settings down here on the bottom right-hand corner. Go to Settings on the bottom right-hand corner. And then you'll notice a list of materials will pop up here. This is the list that you're going to draw from. And I'm using, for example, a natural material. I'm using wood, and then I'm going to scroll down underneath the natural selection menu, and then I'm going to find birch wood, which I know is a medium density wood. And so I'd click that, and then I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the material thickness is correct. Mine is 1/8 of an inch, so it happens to be correct for me. Remember, the decimal form of 1/8 is 0.125. Check to make sure you've got your units set correctly, and then you go ahead and apply. Click OK, and once you have everything set up, and double check with your instructor before you actually press play on any of your laser cuts, you're going to go ahead and close up your laser cutter. And on the bottom right here, we have a BOFA filter, which keeps all of those toxic fumes out. Turn that on, and then we'll click play right here on the screen. I am not going to do that today because we don't have a full piece, but anytime you have any other questions about how to get these cuts going, just ask your instructor.